and then close that. Yeah. Okay, so we're recording.
Yes.
And I will call this regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:01. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so Jolene Drucker's doing minutes tonight for Kathy. Kathy couldn't be here. So no mountain climbing tonight.
Not
So
tonight.
yeah. So Dr. Carver and Jen. Mark Dupre and Michael Duane are from STV. They
Okay.
will be reporting on a couple different projects. Roy is public site, and then me, I'm just doing screen sharing when I need to. And then here, you met David Resendez, and you know
Yes.
John, and you met Dave Horvath in person this
In
time,
person.
and you know me. So that's everybody here. There's no one hiding in the chairs right now.
Okay.
So public input. No public input. Going once, going twice, done. Correspondence, everything that I have is part of everything that was sent out to everyone as part of our projects. Approval of meeting minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of October 9, 2024.
Second.
John, 50 seconds. Does anybody have anything that they know they saw in the minutes that needs to be updated, corrected, added to, etc.? Good. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And I don't think anybody
Any
here has to
abstentions?
abstain. I think everybody that's here was here last time. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so on to our agenda items. Old business, police station training range. I will do a brief update and then I'll see if David and Michael have anything on the MAU, and let's see if we can mute Roy. So different people are gonna have to, like, if you're gonna talk, then you can unmute yourself, but then you're gonna have to remute yourself because it kind of gives us feedback. So a quick update on the range. At our last meeting, we approved the final payment to Action Target in a lesser amount than what their invoice said, with the explanation that they had included a change order that never came to us and was never approved by us. So I wrote a letter, I sent it around to Melanie, Dan Carter, Chief Pugner, and Brad Herring, just to let them know, FYI, we're doing this, and also to Mark at STV. I didn't hear anything back saying, oh, don't do that. So I figured we're good to go. So when I brought the invoice up to finance, I gave them the letter and the meeting minutes explaining everything to include with the check, and they agreed to do that. And then I also, because the woman that's in accounts receivable for Action Target, who's always hounding, when are we going to get paid? When are we going to get paid? When are we going to get paid? I replied that we approved the invoice at our meeting for this amount, attached the letter and said, this is the reason, which resulted in a back and forth between me and Action Target, both the accounts receivable person and then eventually David Johnson, saying, but there was a change order and it was approved. And I went back through the minutes and there was no change order, there was no approval. And my last reply and I also forwarded a lot of this to Dan Carter and to Melanie, just to let them know, heads up, just in case. So the check went out and it was cashed on the 18th. My last reply to David Johnson at Action Target saying, this is the first I've heard of this change order. Why are you bringing it to us now, et cetera, was on October 12th. That was a week plus ago. And I haven't heard anything since. So I did a little kind of research to create a timeline asking about this change order, which has no kind of backup information. And I don't know is we need to do it. I don't think we need to do anything about it. I don't think we need to go anywhere with it because they haven't come back to us and said, well, here's all the information you need to know.
Show us where we signed up.
So I kind of think again, I've been in touch with Dan about that too. The only thing I don't want to do is create anything negative between Action Target and the police department, because they have to continue to work with them on any issues they have, or having, because they create some sort of a maintenance deal over time.
Mhm.
It's not like Action Target's going to be there every week. It might be once a year, or they have to clean out the trap in the back and do some other things. Some stuff's done by, the regular cleanup each time it's used is done by the police department themselves, each person using it. But any large cleanup of bullets out of the trap, et cetera, the rubber berm that's in the back, any of that has to be done by Action Target, and they make an arrangement to have a maintenance plan with them.
Just one quick thing, just so
Yeah.
that people see. When I went and toured the range, Lieutenant Libertini said that trap will probably have to get cleared out about every 8 to 10 years
It's,
because they just
They don't
don't
use
use
it
it
that
enough.
much, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it's not like something you
Yeah.
have to worry about tomorrow. Action Target might not be around in 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So put your mind at ease. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
no,
we have to worry
I
about this
don't-
now.
it's not a worry.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a whole protocol that Action Target trained the police department in, as far as the cleanup on each
Daily
person
basis.
comes in, daily basis, what gets wiped down, what happens with that stuff, et cetera. Turn this on, turn that off, all that. So they know what they have to do. Action Target doesn't need to come in on a regular, every week, every month, it's going to be quite a while. So thanks for that. So Mark, I don't think we need to do anything right now unless we get some kind of a reply from them on this issue.
I would agree. I think you already stated your position on it.
Yep.
And the only reason I would consider it further is if the police department feels that it's necessary for them and their relationship continuing with Action Target. And even then, I would want to have full backup on that change order to understand exactly what is in that $5,000 they're asking for. Because our history on this is that the reason they're asking the change order is because they had to come out twice for their delivered process. And it was their fault in the first place that they delivered it off schedule. I mean, there was a great deal of effort that went in between Evan and Downs to be there for them to receive this material, because it had to be in a specific spot. It had to be secure, and they had to do some work before they could leave it. But they didn't get there till, from what I'm being told, 8 o'clock that night.
Right.
And Downs was gone. Everybody was gone. And then they unloaded, but they had to move it. So they had to come back and move it. And that's what they're charging us for. And I think that's fraudulent. I think it's a blatant money grab. And I don't, if it doesn't negatively impact the town, I would say don't pay it.
Well, and like I said, I haven't heard back from Action Target. I'll just give you a real brief in looking at minutes from a little over a year ago. I had an email from Evan saying that Action Target wanted to deliver their equipment on September 9th, September 11th, 2023. And then we had a meeting on September 13th. And according to Lieutenant Durkin, Downs was reported to him because he had to coordinate moving cars and all that kind of stuff. Downs, what came out of that was Downs would be on site on September 15th to open the wall. Action Target would deliver on September 18th, which did happen. Okay. But the driver didn't show up till 8 o'clock at night. The instructions were there were going to be 2 trucks, one showing up at 8 in the morning, one showing up at 9 in the morning. Well, I show up at 8 o'clock at night. The instructions were to store the sensitive materials, the electronic stuff, et cetera, inside, out of the way. All the other stuff, which was the bulk of it, 'cause it was all that ballistic steel and everything, it was all wrapped up in protective stuff, was going to be stored outside and then picked up with the forklift and put inside. And then at our meeting on the 27th, the minutes show a delivery snafu. That's it, no date. But I listened to the recording and it was listed as, in the recording, Evan reported that it was delivered on the 19th at 8 o'clock at night, well after Downs left. The police, like dispatch, were like, I don't know, go ahead, put it in there. What I don't know is if that was an Action Target delivery person or common carrier. Got to find that out, just in case. And the Action Target change order is dated September 12th. So why is it dated the 12th when they delivered on the 18th into the wrong place and then had to come back and move it?
Yeah.
So something's not right.
Just let it go.
Well, we're going to let it go for now, but I wanted to have
And
the,
I think, my opinion on that is they've got their dates crossed up when they were writing it. And, I'm again, think it's another money grab that, we have to be cautious of. Some contractors will look for any excuse to try and charge you more money so that they can pad their coffers.
well, it could be that, but I also think it could be mistakes on David Johnson's part as far as we know what kind of communication issues we had with him all the
Right.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Is he getting the dates all wrong? Where'd that change order come from? Why am I?
Vinny and Evan both complained repeatedly about communications with ATI.
So we're going to leave it right now. If anything comes up, we'll deal with it at another meeting. But like I said, I've got some info to start with as far as if we need to question that.
Okay.
I've seen emails back and forth about getting CES to continue their seasonal commissioning into the system remotely, and that's been completed. So that's great. Yay. With a little bit of back and forth with ESC and network synergy, all the controls people, et cetera. That's being taken care of. And my guess is, as CBS has done in the past, that they will issue a report this season. If there are anything that we need to know about, I can send it around. We'll look at it at a meeting if we have to.
We'll follow up on that for you, Nancy.
So MAU controls, what's going on?
So I haven't heard back from Randy, who's the one from Aon. I did take pictures I sent to him with notes. I went through and looked at it. I don't see why we can't put the way the system is. I don't see any reason why we just can't. They have a regular thermostat in place and everything's off the iPad. Lieutenant Libertini showed me it is a very well designed system. It is very easy to use, very user friendly. So where the thermostat is located, it's very simple to put in a regular thermostat with night setback controls in it. I think and the wiring, I believe, should be okay. It's just a 3-wire. So we should be able to just swap it out, plug it into the terminals, and we should be able to do it. But I want to just confirm with Randy from Aon that is the case. On the good part, the unit works magnificent. Lieutenant turned it on. It was 64 in there when we got in there. Within 10 minutes, it was 72 degrees.
Yeah.
It works phenomenal. It works really well.
Right.
No real breeze. Like you don't feel like at other ranges, you don't feel like the air is blowing past you. It's a nice trickle of air. Everything works very well. So the money was well spent. It's just we need to get this one night setback and then we should be completely done with no issues.
Well, because basically, are there sensors in the room so that it'll
There's
sense that
one main
it's,
sensor up on the wall where it should be
Okay.
halfway down.
Yeah.
It's up about 8 feet because it's out of the right, you don't want to
Right.
shoot it.
Right.
So there really shouldn't be a problem with that. Again, the only issue I do see is it does work so well, it heats up so quick that you don't want the short cycle. So we might have to see if there's a way to adjust the amount of heat output.
right,
So it doesn't just like, bam, it's on and, it warms up quick for when people are in there, but during the night setback, it doesn't come on, bam, it goes up to 74 and
Yeah.
drops out after 10 minutes and, you kind of abuse the equipment that way.
right, because we don't want it running all the time.
Well, it won't run all the time. That's the
Right,
thing.
but
You
it
gotta-
would run
it'll run 5 minutes,
frequently.
shut off for an
Yeah,
hour and a
We
half,
don't want to,
run for 5 minutes. You want to run for,
but if we set it to like 50
yeah,
during the winter,
exactly. Set the
and
50.
maybe something, I don't know what it would be during the summer for, we don't want moisture buildup, et
Like 80,
cetera.
usually 80 to 82
Yeah.
in the summer.
And we can do that.
Mhm.
I think we can do that, definitely.
And well, with that too, it also has a humidity sensor. So you can do that. I did, discuss with Lieutenant, the air filters. I did look at them and the price they gave for the air filters. I have to go back. I want to get the actual, I want to confirm the sizes because there's no way on God's green earth it should cost $6,000 to change those filters. No, that's the price they
There's
got
a
from
bunch of
Action.
them, but
That's the price they got from Action Target.
do they
And
have to get them from Action Park?
no, that's
Have you
what I'm
got it
getting
from
at.
Aon?
That's what I'm getting. No, we can actually buy them through Granger.
Okay.
So that's something that we should look at.
Yeah.
I think probably save a couple $1,000.
Yeah, because the thing that I think two things we want to do is to make it work automatically,
Yep.
that when we need heat, when we need cooling.
Yep.
Or humidifying.
Mhm.
And then we should have some sort of system like this that just totally shuts down. An alarm comes on because it's getting too hot to cold.
Mhm.
We should create a list of people.
Right. And the
Do
network,
they go to dispatch? Does it go to?
the network connections are already there.
Okay,
So they just have to plug in.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh my God, we're going to spend $10,000 to do this.
Right.
Network connections are there, the board's there, everything's there. We just have to get an IP address from the station, wherever, however they want to,
Right.
send out the signal.
Yeah.
Which could probably just do through the BMS.
right. That's not attached to the
Not yet.
main building, BMS.
No, it is
Okay.
not. Not yet. And that's what I would suggest, is we
Okay.
connect it to that, and that way, at least it'll get alarms also in the station, instead of sending out, they'll get it as well.
Right.
I'd imagine they get alarms now for generator, ATS, stuff
Right,
like that.
right. And I'm not sure Kathy would be the one to tell us whether there's someone in Public Works that also gets the message. Or whether they then let Public Works know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we'll have more for us
Yeah,
at the next meeting.
I hope so too.
All right.
But the other thing to put your mind at these too is, we're talking about the air filters. The first set of air filters are what they call bag filters, and they're MERV 14. So they're taking a lot of stuff. I found them relatively similar ones for $80 a filter.
Mhm.
And there's like 10 of them. So it's really,
Right.
it's not like, I mean, yes, it's a good amount of money, but it's not like crazy.
Right. And we had a whole discussion a while back about which, filters we needed.
The bag filters would be the ones you replace most
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
Secondary
And
filters.
which MERV, because they were MERV different numbers.
Exactly. Yeah, the
Did
ones.
you
that-
need the really high numbers or can you deal with?
Right, yeah, we'll do the MERV 14s up front, 13,
Yeah.
14, to get all the big stuff, tiny, which, whatever particulates get through that.
Yeah.
Are gonna be few and far between, and those filters in the backside should last a lot longer.
Because you don't want to filter out tiny stuff when they're shooting. Definitely want to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. The only other thing I have, I sent around, see if I can figure out how to screen share. How do I do that? Present. And then I have to do that. Oops. You're up. Yeah, no, but I didn't open it. Close it. Dr. Carver helped me last time. And select the tab to share your window. Have to get it open first. I got it. The more I do it, the more it becomes familiar. It's different than Zoom. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so back here, I do this. I do this, and I do this. And I do this. Thank you for your patience. Now I have to see if I can make it bigger. If you need it bigger. This is the budget spreadsheet that I made up a while ago. Oh, I don't want to draw lines on it.
It's very readable, Nancy.
Okay. So if it's big enough, basically what I'm showing is that we have outstanding, I paid to date, but still do, we have $3,000 due to CES. 4510 due to ESC, which I'm not sure why they haven't billed us yet. We'll find out. And then, so that's $7,510. And then over to the edge, the last left in contingency, $4,586.98. So we have that much in contingency. Hopefully we don't have to spend it on anything. Hopefully what you come up with is quick and simple and like that.
Let's hope so.
And I don't know if that's an Aon thing or an ESC thing, or you'll find that out. You'll let us know. All right. So that's a good thing that we kind of figured out the budget thing, because it kept showing that we didn't have a whole lot left. And I think that was because some numbers were showing additional things like change orders that were not included, that we had not approved. So figured all that out. So that's that. We can, anybody have any questions on it? Down. There we all are. Okay, so that's it on the range. Don't have any invoices. So we'll move on to Rockwell and Johnson Schools. And Dr. Carver sent me, and then I sent it around to everyone, some good news on Office of School Construction. And they finally gave us two official letters saying about moving the money from one project to the other, which helps with our reimbursement. So Dr. Carver.
Yes. So as Nancy said, we did finally get the letters from DAS, Department of Administrative Services, who oversees the Office of School Construction, that they officially transferred the money from the Johnson project to the Rockwell project. So that was good. And then subsequently I sent it to the auditors, and they have been, I think, very actively, I think Jen would agree, trying to close it up. So that was good. Geraldine is working with us on a couple of questions that the auditors had. In as recently as today. So we expect that should be pretty closed up pretty quick. I don't know if Jen has any more questions or thoughts about the audit. Yeah.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. So, but the other part of the Rockwell Johnson that we talked about last time was the issue with the piping and the natural gas leaks. So I did, the day after the meeting, I did call Tony Rizzo, as we talked about, and I shared with him what the conditions that ESC and Connecticut Combustion and Tyler Stevens, who's our facilities supervisor, and Chris Baldwin shared, and your comments from the meeting, and let him know that people weren't pleased, and and kind of how did we get here. So he said pretty much, I think, what we would have expected him to say, that that it went through an owner's rep, it was commissioned, it was and by the way, I finally figured out it wasn't Ferguson. I apologize. Geraldine corrected me. It was am I saying it right, Jen? Allstate?
Allstate, yes.
Yes, Allstate was the people which is, I think, one of the bidders on the HVAC project, or was one of the bidders on the HVAC project. It was Allstate that was responsible for the plumbing work that put the piping to the units. So he told me that he was also going to check with them to see. I sent him the pictures of the sealant. Am I using the right words? And
Yep.
Talked about the fact that it was white, and a lot of people are saying it should have been blue. So was it the right sealant? And I have a letter drafted. I apologize. I've just been so busy. I haven't had a chance to send it to Jen and Tyler just to look at, but I am going to follow it up in writing to them. So he promised me that he would call, check with Jim Delaney and kind of look through their records and then get back to me. I haven't heard from him yet, but I think at this point he's still expecting me to send him a letter. I don't know that it's going to change anything. But I did want you to know that I followed up, and I think that the committee has the invoices for the work that I had talked about last time that was completed to rectify the situation. So happy to answer any questions about that.
So I emailed Tyler to ask, once I got the invoices, asking if there was gonna be further work, what we need to do, would we need to change every connection just because we want to be safe? And then I didn't forward it to everyone, but he basically said all the joints were refitted with gas-rated pipe joint compound. From the welded supply to each of the boilers. All the
Right.
joint roof. So everything was taken care of.
Mhm.
He hasn't completed any specific testing at Rockwell, but I don't think he would need to. He could check, but it's a different company. So,
Are we not
And
concerned?
we haven't had any issues.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
but are we not concerned though, because you did points A and C, what about points B in between? So the boiler was leaking, on the roof was leaking, all the gas piping in between, it's in the building. Has that been leak checked by any chance? Has anyone taken a look at that?
I
So
don't
when
know.
the fire
Jen.
department, when the fire department came out and found the initial leaks near the boiler, they did check the whole building and
Okay.
nothing was detected. And we did a pressure test before we were able to receive the clearance from Eversource to turn all the electricity back on. And the building was able to maintain the pressure. I forget, may have been 5. I forget the units, but it was able to pass the pressure test.
Okay, good. Thank you.
but then Tyler says there are not currently any leaks identified. But if the pipe joint compound was not rated for gas, as ESC Mechanical has speculated, and it says Connecticut Combustion did not agree with that assumption because they felt it was unlikely that the pipe joint compound utilized during the project wasn't rated for gas, as the majority of products on the market are rated for use with natural gas. There could be potential for future leaks at unaltered pipe connections. So how do we check that? Or do we don't want to wait until there's leaks, right?
You
So
may have to though.
you can do an annual pressure test. Or you
Okay,
can do an annual where they take certain fittings up in the ceilings and wherever and just, so the maintenance should be on a standard maintenance. You know, like they did find that that's how this all started. It was an annual, the regular maintenance. The tech found it on the roof. So, you know, I don't know if that's actually in their contract per se for them to leak check joints now and then. Maybe we make it part of it going forward, but maybe an annual for the next few years, check a few joints here and there up in the ceilings. I mean, that can actually be done by the town crew or maintenance staff on a Saturday.
Gas leak detection.
Yeah, you know, you spray soap, basically you use water and Dawn, you put it in a sprayer, you spray the joint, and if it bubbles, then you got a leak. You don't, then you're good. I mean, you know, obviously if you smell it, then there's a bigger problem, but something that's really tiny, you might not detect it for a long, long time.
We can certainly circle back with Tyler and talk with him about it too. Because as Jen said, I don't know that I've had that explicit conversation with him.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad idea, Dave.
I'm sure probably Tyler's thought of it too, but you know, just
Yeah.
something.
So I think the invoices that you have right now are
yes.
pretty much the bulk of the work, right, Jen?
I have, I have
Yeah.
ESC and one from
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
I was surprised they weren't that high. I was
Yeah.
expecting it a lot higher.
So I'm gonna go through and, do you need me to
Sunday,
share them or did
weekend
everybody
follow-up?
check up? Do you want me to put them up on the screen? No. Okay. So from ESC, we have to, so I'll first make a motion that we approve ESC invoice number 78980 dated October 9th for Johnson School. It has a whole list of service hours performed plus parts. And this one is, let me find the total. It's like 48. I want to be sure. 48. Yeah, so parts and labor. Just want to make sure. I think this was the initial one, which took a little longer.
Yeah.
So total is $4,841.
I second that.
So Dave seconds it. Anybody other questions on it? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And then the second one from ESC. And then again, see, this just is all labor, I think. I'll make a motion that we approve ESC invoice number 78992 for Johnson School dated October 9th, 2024, in the amount of $2,160.
Second.
Dave seconds. Any other questions on this? It's got the service reports and I just put it. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's done. And then Connecticut combustion. So I will make a motion that we approve Connecticut combustion invoice number 13803 for Johnson School dated October 11th, 2024. For a total of $3,359.17. That does have labor and materials.
That's a Sunday call.
Yes. This was the day.
So the day after.
No, this was.
Dr. Carver, who came out on Sunday? Was it ESC or was it? What's that?
Both came out on the Sunday,
Okay.
right, Jen? And then both had follow-up work, right, Jen?
Okay.
Because there was some,
Yes.
the school was closed.
Oh, yes.
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 Yeah.
They came that following Thursday, which was Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, that was.
Right.
I believe. Yeah.
So again, that was $3,359.17.
I'll second.
Dave seconds. Any other questions? Good to go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done with that. Okay, so, anything else on, that's it. So, good news about getting the letters from DAS, because that's another step forward in getting the audit completed and getting our, I guess, final reimbursement check, we hope.
That is correct.
All right, great. Anything else on schools?
Yeah, I have one question. Dr. Carver, a while back, and maybe I missed this. Didn't we put in for possibly some additional monies?
That's what the letters were.
That's what that letter is for then? Wasn't there some additional?
Well, there's a small pocket that we talked about that didn't get in as eligible because when Rizzo was spending down the contingency, they didn't put in the appropriate change orders. And so I talked to Dan about it. So there was two parts to it. The first was the transfer of money. The second part would require like special legislation to get reimbursement back. And again, it was because Rizzo wasn't following the 6-month timeline, so they wouldn't even consider it in that contingency stand down. And so I think that what Dan and I talked about most recently is it requires work from our delegation. So we were going to wait till after the election. We met with them once to discuss what the issues were and would they be willing to consider special legislation. And they said yes, but they didn't really act on it in any way. And they can't at this point anyways, because they're not in session.
Yeah.
So we thought we would revisit after the election to see if it changes at all. It might not. And then go back to them and make a new request.
So I would say that, that I don't know as Rizzo was specifically spending down their contingency. They just didn't adhere to the proper guidelines and paperwork that needed to be done with change orders so that those change orders would be considered for reimbursement. From the very beginning, when the first one that required some change orders, et cetera, was the whole transformer that needed to be put in place for the temporary classrooms.
Portables. Yeah.
Portable, yes. And they didn't do the paperwork correctly or in time, not reimbursable. It's not about that it's just not a reimbursable thing. They just did not. And it was just kind of throughout the whole project that they were not doing their paperwork in a timely fashion so that those change orders, because you had to do the paperwork and then that became part of your report to the Office of School Construction with your next request for reimbursement. And because they weren't doing it, there was a bunch of, and we did get one, didn't Geraldine help with one
Yeah.
whole
I mean, when I said that the spend down of contingency, I was using Geraldine's words. But she said it at the end, and when you look at may have been eligible costs,
Yes.
because it was a lot at the very end. You're right, Nance. There was other times during the project, and then it got a lot better. But it was at the end of the project where I guess it happened more frequently. I mean, we're not out of a $65 million project. We're not talking about a lot of money. I think the estimated revenue back to the town was something like a little over $100,000, maybe $150,000. I can't remember the exact amount. But still, it's $150,000. So that's when they were going to go back and look to see if I tried with DAS myself, and I didn't get very far. So it is what it is. And they said they would be willing to consider any additional expenses as long as we could show that the change orders were processed in the proper timeframe. And we just don't have that documentation. So again, it would have to be that special legislation if we were going to pursue anything.
And is it that we would receive $100,000 in reimbursement, or was it $100,000 that would be considered for reimbursement and we would get 40 some odd %?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact amount, but Jen, do you?
No.
No, I don't know the exact amount, but it was that would have been the 46%. So
Right.
it was a couple $100,000, and we would have gotten a percentage back of that. Because even within that, not every cost would have been eligible anyways.
Right.
So, again, like after the
I
election,
guess once,
visiting it with the delegation.
yeah, okay. So then you could check it all out with them and see if it's worth going ahead with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions on the Rockwell and Johnson school renovation projects? We did the invoices, and I don't have a budget review, but once we do these, we should update the budget. So we should get that. And that's not me. So moving on to the HVAC, Bethel High School HVAC upgrade. I understand, like Jen sent a draft earlier. I didn't send it around to everybody for commissioning, RFP for commissioning. Does everybody want to see it? Should I send it around to everybody? Yeah. No. I think the best person to get input would be Craig, but I'll take a look at it, and I don't know I'll have much in the way of input, but we want to get that out as soon as we can. Once you finish the draft, you're going to have to give it to Melanie. Jen, is that true?
Yep, Melanie's already seen it, so we're working with Melanie. So she and Sam from the procurement team as well. So she definitely wants to make some more updates on it, especially in the parts where it lays. She wants to set up the RFPs to include a lot of the contract language that we're going to eventually use when we contract to make the contracting process smoother. So she's working on that. And also, I wanted to throw out a question. One of the things that we are wondering is, at this point, it looks like we are not able to afford doing the alternate that would be the bathroom exhaust fans. But if everything went, in an extremely lucky way and we had some contingency funds available to do that, one of the questions is, do we want to consider putting an alternate in the commissioning bid to cover commissioning for exhaust fans, which, are a lower priority than air handlers, for example. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that would be smart.
So is that number 1 or 2 or 3?
2.
2? Because I thought 2 was going to be possible. Or are we looking at the budget again and saying no? I thought we were going to try to structure the contract to say, if we had enough money left, we'll do 2.
I think that's the goal, but I don't know that we would have enough money.
Okay.
So I don't know, Mike or Mark, if is there, there probably is a budget that I just don't remember, but like kind of where we are now.
Yeah, I thought it looked like with the total overall budget, we'd have enough for 1 and 2. I have to double check. I think 3 was the one that I'll have to look. I'll look it up now as we're talking.
Okay.
So 3 is definitely not affordable, and we have about 280 something in contingency, which the exhaust fan number I think is 120, so it fits within that number, but it's a little early in the process to start spending our contingency, in my opinion.
It wouldn't hurt to put it in there
Right.
just in case we get to the point where we can add it.
Right.
Right.
And I
This is
think,
covered.
and I think that's why Jen's asking.
Yeah, that's smart.
I think so.
You could always put it in and then take it out later on and ask for credit on it if you didn't do it.
Well, or
You
is,
just have to make sure it's 100% credit. Sometimes they.
Right.
Yeah. Just make sure,
Exactly.
they don't keep 10% of it.
And that's all, contract language. So
That's why you pay me, Dave.
so is there a way though to include language in the commissioning RFP? Just like we had alternate 1, 2, and 3 in the RFP for the contractor to say, they put a price on alternate number 2. Could commissioning people's proposals have an amount for alternate number, including alternate number 2?
Yep, we can definitely do that. Okay.
Yeah, that might be the best way to go, I think. Yeah.
I'd rather have it covered now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than go back
And not go back and do
8
change
months,
orders.
6 months from
or-
now
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it'd be a mess.
Because I'm dealing with like what.
Yeah, yep.
It's the way
So then, once the RFP is kind of finalized, you'll send it around. Do we have to approve it? We have to approve it. Do we have to approve it?
I don't think we do.
We shouldn't. It should be
So,
like Melanie says yes and Sam says this is good, and then it goes out and procurement takes care of it. Yeah.
Okay.
If people are interested in seeing it, we can send it around. Because it's on, you said it was on the shared drive, right, Dr. Carver? Or no, Jen, did you say, no, you put the letters on the shared drive, Dr. Carver.
I did.
The commissioning.
I
RFP,
emailed that to you.
or yes, you did, but it could go on, once it's finalized, if people want to
Yes.
see it, go on the shared drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so then the other thing we talked about at our last meeting was getting a letter of intent to Save
Yep.
More. So that,
Save More has the letter of intent.
okay,
They started a solicitation for CHRO, and they're currently gathering submittals and all the other documentation. I received the bulk of some stuff, I think, this evening. It looks like a schedule of values and some other stuff. They ordered the bond, so they're moving.
okay, good. That's good, because I didn't want to be sitting around waiting, and especially when we need to start ordering.
No, I'm trying to push this as much as I can. I think they're just wondering when they're going to see a contract. So I guess that's a question. I can always contact Melanie tomorrow.
I can tell you, Melanie has a draft of the contract. You should definitely connect with her because I'm sure she wants to see the schedule of values and she wants that to be incorporated in the contract. So she's getting close to being finalized, but it's not finished yet.
Okay,
I'll check in with her tomorrow.
good. So we're moving.
Yep.
We're moving.
Good thing.
Great. Beautiful thing.
Okay, is there anything else? We don't have invoices. Any other things that we need to discuss or know about for this, or any questions from anyone?
No, just for submittal processes. So any technical submittals are going to be filtered through the engineers, first, obviously. And then we'll get, a copy of it. And obviously we'll see the traffic of those things as they're being submitted with submittal logs and so on and so forth. Financial submittals, application for payments, schedule of values. So, STV stance or change orders, we recommend, right? So we'll recommend that, hey, we looked at this, we don't see any discrepancies. We recommend for you guys to review and either say yay or nay. I'm not sure what your process is going to be moving forward for, you know, I obviously see it with the application for payments on other projects, how you guys discuss that, but with regards to change orders, you know, how you want to handle that moving forward.
And
So
that
we-
all of that's going to be detailed out explicitly in the contract that Melanie is working on because she wants it to be very clear exactly what the process is.
Okay.
So we usually approve or don't approve change orders, and those approvals or non-approvals are based on input from owner's rep as to whether they're really outside scope of work or they should have been included in scope of work, etc. So we approve them, and then they have to be either one at a time or sometimes a group is brought together to change. If it's a change to the GMP or a change to the contract amount, then that has to be signed by the first selectman.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And I'll work with Melanie again to make sure that there's no discrepancies with the contract and the front end of the spec or whatever, Conan Ronan, or, you know, I think they wrote the spec, right? Just want to make sure everything matches or it's indicated correctly moving forward in the contract. So there's no confusion. That's all.
Yeah, and the applications for payment
Yep.
from the contractor would come to us, but also any invoices from STV.
Yep.
We don't get anything from Colorado because that's done, but commissioning will come through us too. And then we approve it and then it goes to finance, they pay it.
Yep.
So any documents that you want to share with us or have available for us to review if necessary, or if we want to, could go on the shared drive. So
Yeah.
that it
So
doesn't
that-
have, well, we have to figure out if you're in there or not and get you in
yeah,
there.
no, I'm on the shared drive, and usually what I do is like premier to the bidding phase, I kind of duplicate what's on our servers.
Yeah.
So anytime I upload stuff, I understand. I believe I'm correct. You guys get automatic notifications that, you know, somebody has uploaded something new to that drive. If
Yeah.
not, I'm going to send a courtesy email out to everybody, anyways.
Yeah, we don't get notification.
Okay, so as I upload stuff, I'll just make sure the entire committee gets an email, and I'll just keep adding to those folders, right? Like, you know,
Yes.
submittal
Yep.
number one per their submittal lot, you know, stuff like that. Typical
Yeah,
stuff.
because that would be great, because I have a tendency to go back and use that. If there are questions that come up months later, what about this? Or when did this
Yeah.
happen? I go back and use it to answer those questions.
That's my paper trail, Nance, right? That's my thorough paper trail so that poor Dr. Carver and Geraldine and Jen don't have to deal with the state stuff with this project.
Yes.
They
So
can get a-
carry around a giant 3-ring binder with papers in it. Much
Yep.
easier.
Yep.
All right, good. So anything else on this? Anybody else have any other questions or? Nope. All right, good. Just to make sure you can get into the shared drives.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. If you have a Gmail, it's easier, but just make sure. Okay, so that's it on HVAC upgrades. We can move into municipal center locker room renovation. Bye, most of you.
See y'all later.
All right, guys.
Good night, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
I
Thank
don't
you, Mark.
have much of an update. I think the last time I did report that there had been some back and forth between Melanie and Peter and one of his partners. And it was all about insurance and liability amounts. So we had talked about, could they do a rider for the one project, et cetera. I asked Melanie had emailed me, told me it was everything, the discussion was very cordial. And I asked Dan, can we go, have a meeting with them and see where we can go with this? And he said, sure, but we haven't had a meeting yet. So I'm going to push on that. I might have to go through, make sure I include Mary Churchill, his administrative assistant, because she does a lot of the appointments, calendars, that kind of thing. Because I want to make sure that we're in a good place with them. We're going to go somewhere else that, or as someone had suggested, could they hire or suggest to us someone that we could hire that has those insurance and liability limits that are what the town needs. So I will be working on setting up something with them. Because I don't want to just think that we can grab whatever plans and run away if they don't want that. And I just want them to be cool with it too, so. All right, I think that's it.
Works for me.
Next meeting is in November sometime. Hopefully we'll have some more stuff done on the HVAC and
Yes.
everything else, and then just bring us stuff with the MAU and
Yes.
everything else. Well, hopefully we'll have more on the locker rooms. I want to get going on that.
Good.
All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn. Second.
Second,
All right.
Beat you to it, Roy.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Roy.
thank
See ya.
you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, bye-bye.
Adios. Au revoir. I'll be the same.
And then up top,
And all those other words.
And all those others.
up at the top where the red
sayings.
button is,
Wow, this is
over on the
This is
left-hand
good.
side.
That's a record.
this one. I
Yeah.
missed those 11 o'clock ones.
Oh, okay. So
Back
down
when we
there where it
started the
says
police
stop recording,
station.
see the blue one down at the
And-
bottom? Yeah, stop recording. There you go.